Hello, America. Hello, Connecticut schools, parents, students. A Connecticut principal can recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed to me also deans and their family members. They were influenced to when they get caught roles with bad things that are the real causes of all the bad other things that we keep hearing of that are unbelievable and that are create shock and awe, to use a phrase that was used with after, in response to the World Trade Center attack and groupthink. This is also each year there are illusions being stacked in databases because and per a method that knew that people from other locations would have to value hurt would have to hurt or value being hurt and having been hurt people at other locations, like where the sciences are manifest. And they would have to do that sickly. Not they would have to keep how sickly non-distinctly at all the different spots. Every location was controlled by a breaching method that was about the slavery of our founders. Our founders asked us to communicate about their slavery, but how about everyone's speech was measured and maintained. Collusions with what you can't collude with, and defend yourselves against criminal foreign influence and criminal uses of criminal insidiousness, relevant to where and to how. Really, the causes of criminal, all these bad things are happening. See, we have the people using passions and emotions against crimes that are a certain type of victim slash predator, hyper victim slash hyper predator. It's the same way the colonies were, themselves individually grouped in together, used remotely, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, where there's exceptions. And where that wasn't the case even then, how they're using exceptions, valuing exceptions, use tactical theory from how nature uses it. And when I say nature, I mean per science that uses that recognizes how you have to use nature's nature and the only increasing value of that to contemplate nature's course, the way of things. Because we have to an extent, every identity is an extent of the identity of the hyper simultaneous. But even where the smallest extent of it is, its complete identity of relationship to itself. And the only increasing value of that is. And the exceptions go with how it demonstrates to us the difference between temporary positive and lasting positive. For example, while simultaneously there was a difference between positive, that is a criminal insidiousness natures of positive treatment. See, this breaching method made the suburbs designed before our founding parents were even born, who had to counter extort the other founders because the laws were made. Everyone sensed that they were doing half of what our founders did to even get the Constitution on the bridge. Okay, you're going against the breaching method. They had the colonies individually grouped and together. Semi were a fake order by the Republic. What really revealed it. You know, why really are these languages so similar? Because they were led by the science before the science became criminally foreign influenced, and or to the way they are now. Now it's self valued. So we can make a what is it called? Hyper negotiations table, and we could stack means onto it. All we have to do is have one country agree. Don't even have to have nuclear weapons, but we'll get the nuclear holding countries to an agreement that they'll agree to, and then we can mean stack. And we can't. We'll say, okay, then we're communicating like that. In other words, the species body has means to go like that and make evolution. With this, the suburbs were designed tactically to nature for a torture method, slavery method, north and south. Our founders left us to have it understood clear by now. When someone says, "Oh, but our founders had roles with slavery," that's because they were that's because everyone was enslaved. They were measuring who's going to try to counter this, and to everyone next to them. They had to counter extort other founders and force everyone to pretend for other motivations, nature's needs, interests, they came together. And they had to go all the way till they could get Marbury versus Madison and the Constitution unabridged. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor. They also have doctors with delusions recorded for the definition in the dictionary. I never had a doctor use that word with me, but that's recorded too. See, these people are involved with identity theft, fraud, slander. So watch them. Don't anyone start talking about the 5 identities of order and as some punk in the background involved with all the natures of organized crime and sick delusions that psychiatry is involved with. And with the bridge of government, we're going to have them disciplined here and now for all. With the overt criminal enterprises and private ones, we're gonna have forgiveness though. See, but to do this, you have to get them on paper into one name and sequence, and you have to get them to speak to all kinds of behavior racketeering, where and how originally and still investigations, all investigators, and all perception was used remotely, criminally foreign influenced, tactically delusions wrought as is entertained. Not one has trained. Our founders left us to explain how and why they had to counter extort the other founders. Fake, like everyone had to stay. If any prey, vaccines. I teach us things. So Michael John White. There was some black themed, KKK themed, military families on off Trinity College through time, involved with houses in my area, involved with planting sequence shifts because they've been planting fake evidences. Then they get caught. They need because they left things out when they had other investigators. They have a whole bunch of people that use Millwoods Park to pretend they know me. Take a picture one time when I'm walking by. Make confessions to other people through me. If you respond to that, then it makes it look like you know them. And fake natures of ties to people. They made confession. I had no verbal communications with them. And with Mark Violet and Justin Govinskis and Danielle Perron. I don't know if one of the and I don't know if they were there that night. I only saw them one time real quick by accident. I don't know if it was the accident was set up. A Mark and Kevin Caron. I don't know who they were, but I don't know their friends. I don't know them. They try to make fake exceptions to make look other. Trick me one time to go into the backyard with the people there with the Perron family. They were planting fake evidences through time with people on religious spots involved with mayors too, and with the spots next to the state capitol. There's proofs that the Perron family has roles with the J.P. Morgan, and because their roles with names associated with the J.P. Morgans, that graves, that cemetery, and the place at the middle of the street there, where the Burl Turnpike runs into the heart before the heart of Hartford, and the golf place next to it also has a whole bunch of ties in City Sleep and confessions and how they brought up locations and how they act and then make it look like someone will take pictures and they pretend someone's lying and they say they don't know them because they have a picture of someone walking next to someone, like in the park there. They have people involved with the spots next to the schools and next to those 3 spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike. Involved also all along routes and roads like Ridge Road. There are people involved with the corner at Ridge Road. There's a Paul Kelly. I don't know. He was in front of me one time. They must have, if they. That's not. It's not like I don't remember that. I just don't know him. And that corner is also involved a whole bunch of people with a Chet Casper and a Rob Heimgartner. But he just sat next to me, so I'm not going to call these people. I don't know how to know, but what am I say? No, I need to get some people on paper with the interbranch, and they've been attaching little kids and their families interbranch to fake conversations with police through time. There's a Peruta family with a YouTube channel called Summary Judgment. And he was reading laws that give the benefit of the doubt at the last second to the interbranch. They leave out how they've been planting evidences. See, he has roles with the lawyers of various natures associated with the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and with the Wethersfield Police Chief Cintron, who also have roles and had roles with various natures of child abusers, of killers, of overt criminal enterprises. Per them, a serial killer and his body dumping spot is recorded involved with them also along Route 3. And there are boxing gyms I never even went to. When I went one time, I had not one communications with anyone. They have people that they put people up on charges, and then they get them so they're going to you're getting arrested, and in the falsified police report. Now they're going to make it. You're there. They're going to just fake, even though things are recorded. No one's watching, so no one responds. They're just putting fake conversations with people more and more. Of course, they have more people going into courts every day. You guys have this game stacking people that don't even know each other on campuses, never saw each other around campuses. Even the people and then they make fake exceptions too, because they're getting over on what is simultaneously, consciously, whole bunch of Washington ties and World Trade Center ties to people involved with predicate acts on my street, with the police forms and overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and with the corners on Fairlane. All exception nature are a demonstration of the same thing, where sequence shifts are relevant too. And so there's a Ray Reynolds, who's also one of the ones, the Wethersfield police said the name Ray Cololo over the Wethersfield town offices. They have roles with Afghans, also with the Wethersfield town office and the programs with the kids through decades, and with the Los Solitos, and with other Italian criminal enterprises involved with the Wethersfield police and with the FBI per themselves, and their roles with Local 230 and a John LeConte and Thaddeus Grabowski. And these police involved attaching me as an adult now and then as a kid to fake conversations. And other kids, they had write affidavits that they were attached to fake words. They were made to bring up various natures of organized crime in other people's names. When I was in a car with them, they make people go next to them. Then those conversations come up later. And you don't even know those people. There are also all these different public school kids, private school kids, colluded with people I never even saw around my public school. And when I did, and a lot of them not even out of it. See, but they make fake exceptions. They take pictures and pretend that people don't remember stuff. So there's a Robert Rodriguez. 3 times he did that. They knew who Rob was going to be. 2 times he did that when I was an adult. 1 time when I was a kid. We were just going by that way. And this is with a stranger that was making confessions to me about his roles with my 5th grade teacher. And with people from grades before that, involved with the mayor and with the executive police families in Hartford and in Wethersfield. I found out it was FBI also. and other state police families. And as the ones involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones with middle school kids and medical families and military, foreign and domestic, attaching little kids to fake ties in nature to ties to kids around that live around them and don't. Sickly distinctly too. You keep if they try specifically to keep people from being able to go back and speak about the past honestly. Specifically to keep people from being honest and active, especially where and how. At each age, especially differentially too. In other words, that's controlled by nature. See, but because we can't you can invent or make things up, but you can't be. Those other two identities of sequence nature, it is while it is now. There was one identity that is making more of itself through temporary / lasting, as temporary / lasting space nature. This is what English was revealed to teach. And the other languages, with the other languages individually grouped and together, looking different the same way we are. So we could see real difference / hyper difference. You see, but this system, it only works positive. That's not criminal and seditious nature or positive one way. And you can't invent it. Prayer is a word that is more probably and more practically, increasingly, is more probably a word as a scientific value, as a type of contemplation that uses how there are 5 distinct identities of order manifest where and how we have this extent of consciousness to understand its complete identity of relationship to itself and the value of that. So if your body is space / existence, and all the different identities of your body, they have a semi-nature relationship to your complete identity. And to its complete identity of relationship to itself. And the value of that only increasing also where its value we are a quality of diffusion. That's another one of the reasons. There are more than one reason. They all go back to the same thing, which is functional being hyper invisible but still discernible. It's the same way. It is functional being invisible but still discernible. If a conjunction's nature is subordinated or not, or correlative, or coordinating, or not. And see, that's invisible but still discernible. But that comes with also, that's not positive or negative. That can't, the invisible but still discernible. To discern it takes it deeper. We don't leave out the smallest finite detail without logic. We don't leave out the value of this, what is actually simultaneously what is hyper evidence, we could know. Second, someone read, well, this is the evidence we have. There are proofs that the narratives with the UFO, which just means unidentified flying objects, so it could be anything. But also they have juxtaposed. They have so many different natures of organized crime, fact, treatment, nature-oriented methods. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a police form. Like fact, treatment, nature, predicate act, criminal insidiousness, delivery system method, roles with that breaching method that American history is about, other modern countries' histories. Hyper evident. What is hyper evidential is that simultaneously self-valuing how the suburbs were designed by a breaching method that employed slavery against everyone, north and south. Before our founding parents were born, the suburbs were designed tactically denatured, and that was being sustained not just against Native Americans in other words, they wanted Native Americans they wanted the colonies to fight with each other, keep each other, and fight in the Native Americans against Native Americans, colonies against colonies, but only to an extent because they want to keep everyone measurable, maintained, can't defend their natures of independence. They can't defend their natures of unity and afford defenses of what employ the real cause of negative value nature progression acts and natures. All locations only increasingly capable of being. You have slavery entertained. You have it entertained being and having been blamed on only people that did could only be fathomed to do to counter it. Instead, you want to have debates about what the meanings of the value of what amendment is. What? Get down! Get the FBI out of here right now. Get them on paper too. Get them on paper too. Don't make me beg. Don't make me beg. And you have them respond to my behavior online because they can't do it in secret and true. They can't do it. You get them on paper because they have roles with various natures of chemicals, bad things. Intercities now timed. It's also how on with those names involved with the town lines, and with Hartford one too. Fear. See that? Get them on paper. Get them on paper real fast because they play games with the wire crimes. They play games where everyone's reporting things to other people. That's why they were supposed to follow mandated law. They weren't supposed to say what the motivations are, and what my neighbor did. They said my neighbor did something criminal before he was charged for that. The Wethersfield police, my past neighbor, he was involved on and off Trinity College with other people I don't know the names of. They know my name, like a Joshua Stryker tied to him. He's involved with planting identity theft, fraud, slander, fake ties to me, fake natures of ties to me, fake exception too, and on and off campuses behind my back. Try to make a fake exception too, out of sequence. So you respond to that, makes it look like you had communication when you didn't. Try to pretend I don't know because they had alcohol. They're out of their mind. They're fabricating things with people on and off the state judicial branch offices, planting evidence, fake ties, nature ties to me. There are proofs that it's reported. Someone reported somewhere or recorded that and Eric Oliveri, when I was a kid, got out of a car one time and opened up a beer bottle, which I had no beer and I didn't want one or ask him for one. And in other words, he was saying like acting like he was smart about it, like he had been influenced to. But it wasn't like just that happy that he did that. In other words, and it's right across the street from one of the victims and their families, as one of the people that work with the World Trade Center. Now they were also brought up. They know my name through other people. I know theirs through other people. And then as it rolls through time, more and more, they make it look like we know each other that way. Because these are people involved with predicate acts, stacking, fake, falsified police reports, with the perpetrators of various natures of the things that they're charging people with, and the victims as collusions. Also, with the exceptions and other people involved with it. All the exceptions and demonstration, the same thing. Now, these are also, there was uses of that now that are still tied. Like a Subby Bajario has roles with people who stole radios, people involved with a Mark Violet in my area with the name Cololo, with the Wethersfield Police Department, a Whiting forensics location, and various natures of courts. Even people with the UN involved with child offenders. I couldn't believe that they would have child offenders and you can't tell on it right away. And you know what they do too? They make the exceptions and they have the right away responses used as collusions. They even have the prisons. They have people in Sandy Hook involved out with spots in Cromwell in the middle, all the way along Route 3. And a boxing gym is there. There are people that pretend I was there because they're involved with the intelligence community. They've been seating federal, like the military, people that run the prisons, involved with John Scully and an Olympic boxer we had. People involved with Johnny Duke and Joe Aiello and names associated with spots next to Trinity College. They've been involved with planting evidences intercities with names all along Route 3, on and off campuses, sequence shifts, fake ties, nature's ties to people. Until after he graduated, I never saw Joe Allo on my campuses. There's a person named Marcello I don't know at all. That is one of the people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with a bunch of EMS people, with the Leahy family, and with the intelligence community, foreign and domestic military, on off spots in West Hartford, reportedly a serial killer spot. And that guy is involved with predicate acts with names at Sandy Hook, on and off campuses in that spot with him, at other spots involved with predicate acts with him, where they have roles with their patients and criminals before they got caught, and with the spots next to the body dumping spots and next to the crime scenes. They have roles with them increasingly, so they cannot afford proper reception of the law, like about how they were supposed to respond. They pretend they don't understand people. And they've been seeding means to get away with this because they've been shown needs to from other locations, roles with this. A whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital involved with a whole bunch of all the shootings they have involved with. All of them. All of them. You watch the whole bunch of them they have roles with, even the witness protection program, timed roles with them with uses of those corners on Fairlane Drive. People with my name in the background tied to this Joshua Julian and Joshua Straker and Trinity College, switching names, forging names, planting federal crimes. Roles with Facebook pages of a child sex offender put in jail for upskirt pictures, who is involved with other natures of organized crime and child abuse. Also with names with timed roles, timed uses of elderly homes. And my street here, as people who had roles of predicate acts at other places I lived that are fact-cheating nature oriented, that are, so, and everyone forced to speak through other people is part of the problem here. So you need to get them onto paper. The interbranch switched names, forged names, while they've been stacking fake things. They put a whole fake arrays. These are whole. They use crime methods of putting false charges against people on a mass scale. You have prosecutors and judges and all associated with them on a mass scale. The Democrats and the Republicans, the exception nature, they are sick. They can't defend themselves and afford discern what is actually recorded discernible. So they have time treatments. They recorded themselves using time treatments simultaneously, too fast, too slow, to give it over on the property quality of fact nature necessary since founding drums. They're pretending that who wins an election means what it doesn't. Get them down. Get them down. Get them down. Get them on paper. Please, someone go on Judge Napolitano, Judging Freedom, by Andrew Napolitano, Judging Freedom. Why do you not give Anthony Wall a response for the people? Since him and other people were kids, they've been stacking falsified police reports and confessions and demonstrated roles with that. They have little girls that lived across the street from Paul Kelly, who also have roles with news media next to the principal child abusers campus, with people telling them lies about me. And they have some judges tied to a De La Fera family and other boyfriends of girlfriends they shared with other their family also had judges involved with it. Like an Arthur Spada, I believe is related to or was related to the Spada family. That, like, a bunch of sisters that I don't even know the names of, and two of them I do. And they have a bunch of boyfriends involved with the interbranch that have been slandering me with people next to me that I never saw them around, and their neighbors next to them, also involved with wire crimes, where and how they keep the agencies and the courts. They're incapable of going back and affording themselves group individual of affording all that is capable of being discerned when we are totally honest about what actually unfolded and the actual value of it in the past, to the extent we know was real always. And now And there's an extent we know is true always to come. See, that is not being admitted honestly with logic regarding New York City, is especially in a trap relative to where and how. The suburbs are especially in a trap. And especially differentially, we're in this trap. And even though it's more torturous, so this employed the suburbs tactically nature to cause the only means to cause positive value nature progressions, acts and natures if you're going to be more and more collusions with criminal insidiousness natures of positive value treatment. Therefore, more and more self-valued roles with negative treatments, and wherever there's a positive or negative treatment, there's an identity treatment. This is what English is revealed to teach. We can read this from the nature of English itself. By using nature's nature, by understanding nature's nature and the value of that, how hyperconjunctive to all parts of English. As well as them, it is the force, well not vaccines. So there's even a cop named, a police form named, and rolls with them named Darth Vader, who's involved with some further, actually involved, and but also just seemingly only just World Trade Center themed wrongdoing and predicate acts roles. How simultaneously too relevant to differential criminal foreign influences. See, all the people with the breaching method upon them did not want to be a part of that. Enslaved, even if they could get free by being economically the natures of freedom. That's still not free. Freedom is that quality of fact you be not forced to ignore the smallest finite detail, not forced to admit the revelations that come from understanding what the extent we know is actually simultaneously being or having been recorded or to come. You know the real causes of negative value nature progressions, even murderers. What do you think is going to be capable of becoming? You send those kids from those towers packed on top of each other. Adults who became adults, having come live there. Especially if you live on the top, especially if you live on the bottom. Differentially, different ways, bad. Why? Everything's in demonstration of the importance of the simultaneous. Why? Because that's what we could use to discern a hyper simultaneous. The hyper tribes is in other words, and so what I want to start is working with Native Americans, but we'll get messed up because of the way we have a whole bunch of countries here shared and a whole bunch of countries shared there. They're not allowed to talk about it. Pretty sure. And demonstrably other ways. You can't, how are they going to? They have all these classified, declassified nuclear technology. Even in peacetime, it's fake. Since before cars. This is not our means. These are not our means. The oceans polluted. What are we going to do about it? Yeah, then when they hear the answer, they don't accept it. The native, hyper native way. And the second, that's why we're lucky to have a Native Americans, a country that has natives, and it's easier to discern. There was a breaching method present, not just colonies. There was a breaching method present using them remote. Look at the suits and ties in the counter. Shock and awe. They cannot afford the quality of fact, human nature, the people that even defend all the different natures of subjects, even the religions. They cannot afford discernment properly of the value right at the beginning of the books. What they said is the most important part right there. People don't even know about it. They know about all the books. They use knowledge of good and evil. To quote the Old Testament, just the name of a tree. It says before that, I believe it says, or right after. I believe it said right before it said, all you have to understand is the right to hear. So people want to have, let's have a debate, but then they have their nature of debate is only to have entertained, to measure and maintain entertained, what can't be entertained in ourselves defended. from that criminal insidious, that nature of criminal insidiousness, that method of it. That was a whole bunch of other methods because it originally still because it was using those to screen itself, using those only capable of hiding live progressions right back to all locations where it had been sustaining its sick method against Native Americans. Our founding parents weren't even born yet. Already the Native Americans, therefore, their quality of education was tactically denatured. Therefore, their fact sheeping nature towards each other and others, increasingly incapable of preserving Native American history, blaming it, needing to blame it on things, as the breaching method knew they would need to, even when correctly blaming them on it wrongly, exactly the white man. Native Americans are white. Thank God, white slash black, all different. You know what I mean? When I say thank God, I mean it into a thing where we can vet if that's correct or not. Is something positive to five identities of order simultaneously or not, as its identity of relation to itself? Otherwise, it's criminal insidious nature of a positive treatment. Not per law, anything I've written, per anything I've read, but per reading nature itself, its identity of relation to it itself, and the value of that, as English is really revealed to teach. This is why the predicate is named the predicate with English, the main verb, and why and how the predicate act is named the predicate act with the law. So the main verb is discerned distinctly from the other verbs or the other natures of verbs or the identities of relationship it could have to itself as a participle nature, as a gerund. Put a ing on a word, on a verb, and it is no longer, you can no longer use it as a main verb. It is now becomes a participle nature. Present, behold, you form the present participle by putting ing on a verb. So, thank you, people. Oh, there's the hyper negotiations table. So all you guys have to do is one country. Because then it'll be a story. Then people will have to listen, and just say it's a good idea. In other words, and you know how many people will help to feed the animals of the world, to help, for example, to make what you guys couldn't fathom to afford through these systems. And they want to debate through and as those systems. Oh, but we have the wealth. It's what we're going to invest in. Get the heck down, because that logic will get crushed. That logic, if they wanted to have forgiveness, then they better follow mandated law fast, because they know the databases are sick, fake stuff since before computers, and then it got worse. Let's all rehearse. When they make positive treatments or negative treatments, stay led by the hyper invisible. Use forgiveness for that, not just for the obvious reasons. Oh, forgiveness is good because you don't want to hold on to hate. It'll make you sick. Forgiveness is so you can blame the breaching method, which you have to be able to discern the breaching method. To discern the breaching method, you have to discern its remote uses of everyone blaming other things, others, ourselves, where and how it has been. And it is present there too. But other things are being blamed for what it is, which is one thing, but and then it is coupled with where and how they get away with preventing us from demonstrating that by pretending they don't understand people on a mass scale. This is what both this is part of what keeps the individual who's going to be of either party. Excuse me, a huge spider. I never seen a spider walk that fast. I feel it. I'm gonna put it outside. I'm gonna put this. I'm not gonna kill you, spider. I'm gonna wrap you in this shirt and I'm gonna put you outside. I started doing this. Is it better? What are you like? A huge spider, man. Come on, man. Yeah. Now I'm just gonna wrap you. Okay, people. By the way, next time you see a spider, train yourself. Stay calm. They're like just like, and then you put the put like a little towel, paper towel, or something like a little walk on it, wrap it up, go outside and go like that, and now they're outside, and you preserve the life. Just to think about that, as you're thinking about nature, it's nature. It'll make you stronger in other parts of your life. So people think about people. People think that they can discern strength. They're leaving out the invisible, hyper invisible. There's a certain kind of strength that those weak people have. That have never had a chance because of what is off campuses. On off them further, ducking behind. Increasingly, more and more on off campuses, excuses, blaming other things, others, or ourselves for what is caused by that off campuses influences. And that's also relevant to the shootings, how manifest on and off campuses, and where and how they're pretending people make conspiracy theories. That's one of the things. There's no wrong. No one has the right to go shoot people like that or for any reason. You know, even though there are guns and weapons and poisons haven't been used against me and people around me. That, in other words, we have to get them onto paper, one name in sequence. Connecticut, New Britain, a whole bunch of people in New Britain courts and Hartford courts recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed after the World Trade Center attack and before the World Trade Center attack. Through time, intercities, they've been using those locations. Stack fake motivation. All investigators used remotely. The whole natures are. They came through 6 campuses. Certain kind of child abuse you all are. Manifest as adults now. Only capable of thinking at it, relative to it. In other words, follow mandated law for them. Otherwise you're not going to be hurt. That's one way they won't let us be hurt. They're pretending they don't understand if we keep talking. We're going to say, we're just going to say, okay, I called up a school. They fabricated audio and video. Yeah. Now get me a response now. Make sure they respond for the confessions to the other parents too, because they have some of the parents who are pretending passions and emotions using their kids. They have even the private tied to the interparents, even medical, pretending passions and emotions with their kids, where they have their whole families in collusions with all kinds of nature's organized crime, drugs and medicines crimes, pretending to be against it, pretending other people do it as they're the ones doing it. They're sequence shifting that way. A whole bunch of people on off those buildings, on off the various courts, roles with fact, cheap, nature-oriented predicate acts, pretending to be against those same things. They have roles with it. Types of identities of experts from locations, responding to things to further those things, and then pretend they're experts. They wouldn't be about that. They're leaving. There's a method to that. Those whole locations needing to hide live progressions, tied to its their tactically delusions raw too. The psychology is inseparable from where and how they got away so long with blaming the real course of with blaming how the Constitution was left self-value abridged, blaming on other things other than yourselves. Exactly the things that it's set up to be blamed on. Things like racism. Get them down. You should see the list of symptoms that they and diagnosis, mental diagnosis. They have their other minds, and they what they do with drugs and medicines, and lawyers, and databases, and people's signatures, real made up mixed together, wire crime, mail crime message, dump it on that, confessions tied to it. Get them on paper real fast as you can. You could stop a lot of bad things. You make evolution science come real fast. We also have that as a theme to pay for things, to prove that there's means out of nowhere. If the nuclear holding nations will agree to have a hyper war drill, we guys are on the same side but pretending not to be, and we could film it and have it owned by what's going to be only owned by if the species body itself measures and maintains that. We're going to couple with that whatever amount it is, just and make evolution's fruits gifts, meaning an identity grounds, identity of relationship to itself that is capable of revealing evolution's fruits gifts means out of nowhere. Like that, we can make a new river bed, a new direction for the river. That's all, in other words, together. Like this, in other words, we have to do this as a species together to get sickly distinctly. Also sickly non-distinctly, but sickly distinctly, every country is hurt by how tactically denatured before our founders were even born, here, there, everywhere. The suburbs were designed. The suburbs in Ukraine and Russia, the same thing here. Meanwhile, they have all this in technology. For what? To have self-value, that torture trap that was involved against torture, towards slavery of the colonists and of the Native Americans, sickly distinctly too, to keep everyone fighting with each other as at stake. They can't afford it. That percent pertains to CERN. That one is learned. Get them on the paper. Let me teach you things. Can't go forward, and I have so much you could learn. There's way better news coverage than them. I need their news coverage too. But they can't leave out what everyone knows. And everyone else will help too. There are people, there are people, it's not all evil there. But they force all roles evil. Look away. Stay one, look your lane, whatever. They have the psychopaths. They have their patients and criminals involved planting evidence, fact-oriented predicate acts. That's what one of the things that is true always, that Jim Crow laws is about. A criminal insidiousness delivery system method having been left entrenched. Rolls with it, blaming it on other things, others, ourselves. Exactly the way it wanted and needs. Yeah! Get them up here. Thank you.